Hi everyone and welcome to another Advanced Blitz tutorial. This is number 7 in the series and number 4 on in-game decision making. And we're going to try to make it easier for you to learn by using a new kind of concept approach where we try to make it interactive. So let's get started. So if you haven't watched these videos before, this is the 4th one, as I said, in a series of in-game decision making, but they all stand alone, so you can watch them individually or all together. So please feel free to go back and watch the others. They're all in the advanced gaming playlist. As I said, this is number 4 in the series, but you can watch them in sequence or whatever way you want. Now, what we have done with these videos before is apply a different concept and to make them interactive. And the whole point of this is that it should make it easier for you to learn, because you are not just watching a video and taking in information, you're actually thinking about the game itself. You're immersed in the gameplay and you have to decide what you would do in particular situations in the game. This video is no different. We believe that the interactive feedback you've given us is excellent. So we think that this is a concept that works and we want to continue it going, as long as you want us to do so. If you tell us you don't like it, then of course we will stop. So how does it work? Well, basically what we'll do is we'll take a look at some gameplay at key points in the game where key decisions have to be made. We will pause the game and then I will ask you to have a think about what you would do in this situation. Then we go back after you've had enough time to hit pause, think about the decision that you would make. Then we go back into the game, see how it unfolds. I describe my decision making, my thought process behind it. You can then compare that to your own decision making, what you would have done. Sometimes you will agree, sometimes you will disagree. You will get an insight into why I made a certain decision and why I decided to do something, and whether or not that turned out to be right or wrong. You may disagree, you may agree, you may have done the same thing, you may have done something different. It doesn't really matter. The whole point is to get you thinking, and then we have a sounding board where we can compare each other's thoughts. And I think this interactive format has many advantages. As we said, firstly, it gets you thinking, right? This is the key thing. But the feedback that we've gotten from you is that, it involves you more in the video. It gets you to think about what you should do. It allows you to compare your thinking to mine. It provides a sounding board for your own gameplay, and it's much more fun than just watching a video and listening to me speak, right? Despite my dulcet Irish tones, it is more fun to be interactive in the video. Now, lastly, this is something you asked for. You asked if we could freeze the game without coming out of it, so you can see what's going on in the map. You said that might help. So what we're going to do is, the first half of the video we'll use the old format where you'll see the pause button and you will come out of the gameplay. But in the second we will use the new format where we will pause in game. So you'll actually see the still, the freeze frame as we stop in the game. And let's see which works better. So please leave feedback at the end, which you prefer. Gameplay in the Object 263 and Desert Sands. The Object 263 is the YOLO wagon. It is a tier 10 Russian TD with troll frontish armor. So obviously the first question that we're going to ask, as we always do, is, as we're awaiting players and we're waiting for the countdown, is, what would you do in this point? What is the key thing that you should be doing at this point in the game? So always what we do is we stop here, and your first piece of homework is to think about what are the key activities that you would do during the countdown. Which direction would you go? What's your battle plan for the game based on the setup, the other tanks, the map, etc. So what we're going to do is now, your first piece of homework is hit pause. And you have to think about that, and then when you come back we will compare notes and see how you got on. Okay, so having looked at the map, my tank, frontal armor, I know that C is the heavy channel, but I decided to go towards C. Now we're going to hit pause again, because now that we're going towards C, I'm in a TD. So should I push on all the way to C, or should I adopt a position where I can actually put some shots into the enemy, bring them onto me? What would you do? So let's pause the game and have a think about that, and I'll see you back in play. So we're back in the game, and I actually decided to push on to C. Given my frontal armor, given the fact that they have slower heavy tanks that I've seen from the setup, I think I'm going to get to C first, and I can put my armor in front like this and just wait for the enemy to show up and see if I can get some shots in. And I can also capture C. So with that said, now that the enemy is turned up, the key decision is now what to do next. Should we push on? Should we just try to hold C? Should we wait for backup? Given where we are now in the game, what is your key decision? So hit pause and I'll see you back in game. And welcome back. Well, I decide to stay in C and see what happens. Now, an important thing about this game is it's different to the previous in-the-game decision makings, because in this game I actually make quite a few mistakes. And I'm going to talk through those because those mistakes resulted in me losing this game. I made a couple of very, very crucial mistakes, and I'll talk through those and why they were mistakes and why I could have done something better and maybe won the game. At this point in the game, I think we're also going to take a pause. I want you to hit pause and have a think about, now that we see the IS-7 is there, we know the E-100 is behind him, what are your key decisions now? Should you attack the IS-7? Should you pull back? Have a think about that, and then we'll see you back in play. So welcome back, and as you can see, I decided to attack the IS-7, primarily because I saw that his turret was facing the other way, so that's why I decided to attack. Now, I also did something else here. Do you notice what it is? Have a think about it, see if you've noticed anything. And what I did was I actually hit adrenaline. Why? Because I felt there'd be a number of shots coming up on the IS-7. Wanted to get as many in as possible while he's occupied with the tank behind. So I hit adrenaline. I think now what we're going to do is pause the game again. This is the first time we're pausing it in game. So it's going to be paused for the next 20 seconds or so. So I want you to think about what to do next. Should I push on and attack? Or should I stay where I am? What would you do in this situation? And we're back in play. So I decided to push on, and we talked about mistakes in the game. This is the first major mistake I make, because if I had stayed in a position where I wouldn't take damage here, I think I could have maybe won this game. But the damage I sustain here comes back to haunt me later on. So this is a poor decision. Just have a look at this again. Pushing out here, I took a hit from the IS-7 and I took a hit from the E-100. I was watching those tanks and I thought in game that I saw the E-100 taking a shot. And then I had 15 seconds to push out and make my shot. But that wasn't the case. I miscalculated. I don't know what I saw, but it wasn't the E-100 taking a shot because he put that shot into me. And I took massive damage here and lost over 1,000 hit points. So a base almost 60% of my total hit point pool. So that was a very, very poor decision on my part. So now that we've seen a decision that we shouldn't make, let's hit pause again in game. And we're going to hit pause for about 20 seconds, and then you have a think about what it is that you would do in this situation, given that we sustained damage and now we have to make a decision. So what would you do? And we're back in play. Well, luckily one of my allies took out the IS-7, so I'm going to push on now. I think now this time I've called it right, and that the E-100 is reloading. Put one into him. Get a bounce from him. That's that good frontal armor we spoke about. Confident I could get that. Going in for another shot, but actually I don't need to. My allies take him out. Now I'm going to ask you to hit pause again in about 15 seconds, 20 seconds, and the question is here now what to do. Should we push onto the reds or should I capture a base? So have a think about that, and I'll see you back in play. So welcome back in play. So you've probably heard me say this before in Supremacy games, I usually cap. But in this instance, because we have one base each, I probably made the wrong decision. And again, this one is a more difficult one to call, but I think I made the wrong decision because by capturing the base, I miss putting in damage into the enemy, and we're going to see this later on. Now, I want you to hit pause again and think about what I would do next. Now that the base is almost captured, what do I do next? Should I push on to the left, to the right, straight on? What would you do? So hit pause, and I'll see you back in play. Welcome back. So, I think that probably was the wrong decision to make, because the damage I could have put in, the 3-4 shots I could have been while I was capturing the base, might have made a difference as well. Now I engage the grill. I think this is pretty straightforward decision making. I drop adrenaline again. By using adrenaline early in the game, I get to use it a second time here in the game. I'm able to bounce some shots from the grill, and I'm actually able to clear him off. Switching between HE and AP when I think that I need to put in the AP rounds. So, I clear off the grill, and then the next key decision is what to do now. Bear in mind, I've made 2 very poor decisions, I believe, or certainly 1 really poor decision and 1 questionable decision. Oh, by the way, that's just talking to Muffin there, and because we're in the middle of running this gold giveaway, so also take note of that. There's a code in this game as well. So hit pause again now. Now I've cleared off the grill, I'm pulling around what to do now. So what I ask you to do is have a think about what to do now. Should I go to my ally? Should I go left, go right, engage the reds to the right, whatever? Have a think about that. Hit pause, and I'll talk to you back in game. Welcome back. Well, I think this is a pretty obvious one, right? I take out the FOC, or the FOSH as it may be called. Now that I've done that, I'm going to ask you to hit pause again, because now we have a 2v2 situation. So I'm going to ask you to hit pause and have a think about what should I do. Should I push on? Should I stay where I am, invite the enemy onto me? Should I back up somewhere so my back is covered? Have a think about it. So hit pause, and I'll talk to you back in game. Well, I decide to push on and to put some shots into the reds to help my ally. Now, I'm going to ask you to hit pause again now. Have a look at the current situation on the map. Where my ally is, where I am. Have a look at the other things around us and see what decision should I make now, because I'm about to make a really, really bad decision, another very bad decision, not being aware of the map around me. And that is basically I should have here stayed where I was. If you look at the situation where we paused there, I had the hulk of the FOSH behind me, so that I could have easily protected my back if I backed up to that. I also could have stopped my pushed in front of my ally and stopped him getting hit, and then we'd still have a 2v2 situation. But by being aggressive, overly aggressive in this case, pushing on, I get into this situation where I have 2 medium tanks, one either side of me, and once that happens, 99% chance I'm going to lose, because I don't have a turret, and even though this is relatively mobile TD, once you're in a situation where your gun can only face one way, and my strong front armor can only face one way, once I get into that situation, is game over. Game over. So another poor decision that I made there, not being aware of what was around me, not being aware of the FOSH, and not really taking account of the maneuverability and the fact that the E50s were going to end up either side of me, the E50M and the E50. Poor decision. And we went from a situation where we still could have won that game, even despite my previous poor decisions, if I'd made the right decision there. So 3 really bad decisions, 2 major ones and 1, let's say, questionable one, cost that game. Now, I finished up with a mastery badge, so you can't say, okay, it was a really bad game. But the difference between winning and losing is those fine margins in the game. So let's have a recap on what we've seen here in this video. So, I think I made some right decisions in that game, right? And different players will have different styles, will make different decisions. And I definitely did make some right decisions in that game. So I think like going towards C at the start, etc. But what we've seen is there's more than one way to win and lose, and those decisions that you make can be the difference. And if winning is the goal, then making the right decisions at the right time is key. And this video is different to other ones because the other ones we've done, because I've actually lost this game. And I thought it would be good to look at the mistakes that I made and discuss those. You know, so even though I've looked at the map type, looked at the tank type, I've looked at the red's positioning. When I was in game, I still made some different, some I would say bad decisions. Now different players think differently, so I would hope maybe would have made different decisions. But even if not, I think the key point is that we think about the decisions I made and we analyse them and we discuss why they were the wrong decisions to make. And maybe we even learn more from making wrong decisions than we do from making the right decisions. You know, in these instances, I probably didn't assess all of the information that was at hand and make the right decision. You know, and thinking is the key to Blitz, and it's the key to making a better player. So let's have a think about the mistakes that I made, and let's learn from them, because, you know, analysing good decisions, but maybe analysing bad decisions as well, is even more important, because we learn from our mistakes far more than we learn from our successes. That's a life lesson throughout our whole lives, but also one which is definitely applicable to Blitz. So I would just say to you guys, you know, always be thinking, always have information and some key sort of factors behind decision making, but always be thinking. And if you do make mistakes, as I did in that game, just learn from them, because there's no real there's nothing really wrong with making a mistake. The only real problem with making a mistake is if you don't learn from it. So let's utilize my mistakes, and hopefully you can learn from and avoid them. So thanks very much, guys. I guess all remains for me to say is cheers, Mush. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful. Please leave feedback on the format, this new format. Firstly, about analysing bad decisions, not just right ones, and also about whether you prefer the previous method of pausing the game or the newer method of pausing in game, which works for you. And you can email me on armoredpants@email.com, or leave a Facebook comment, or message me on Facebook at WOTB Gameplay on Facebook, or of course just leave a comment under the video. So cheers, guys, thanks for watching, and I guess all that remains for me to say now is pants off.